My name is Tranisha Arzah. I'm 27, she, her pronouns. I currently work at a program called Babes Network within the YWCA, which is located downtown Seattle. We are a women-led, peer-led, supportive program for people living with HIV, predominantly women, including trans women, heterosexual men, and their families. And I'm a peer advocate there. I've been working there for almost 5 years. I have been a Babe member. We call our members Babes. And since 2010, I was 19 at that time, living in Bellingham, Washington. I stopped taking my my treatment, which is my antiretroviral medication, and I got connected with someone who was able to get support for me to get connected with Babes. So I came down here, I talked to a peer advocate at the time, and I went to a retreat. We have an all-women's retreat for a weekend, which is my first interaction with Babes, and it was amazing. And so I stayed connected with them, but it was hard because I was living in Bellingham. I moved to Seattle eventually, and I went to weekly support groups. I started taking my meds again, felt like I had community again. And then soon after that, I accepted a position as a peer advocate at Babes. I always knew I was queer, but obviously that language wasn't there at first. I went through the various phases of I'm bi, I'm a lesbian, I'm pansexual. None of those things felt right until I heard queer. I was like, that feels good. So I'm going to keep going on with that. And my blackness, I am black, but I lived in a small town in Port Townsend where it was predominantly white. I was the only black female in my entire grade. So I didn't really connect with my blackness until I moved to Seattle. And I was able to get more language about that. And become more pro-black. And then my diagnosis being HIV positive, that's been more, obviously more visible to me, just because I've been living with my entire life. There hasn't been a day in which HIV hasn't been part of my experience, and my identity. And my parents were also living with HIV, and my grandparents, and I had a sibling as well. So it's very generational when it comes to that. I didn't see queerness. I didn't hear about it, And so when you're not around it, it feels like it doesn't exist, right? When we know it does. And I think that's why so many people feel like they're alone for so long. Like, I'm the only one that's going through this. So we know there's, lots of queer people, lots of gay people, bi people, pan people, a lot of those intersections and spectrums of gender and all of that. But until we're, in that environment, exposed to it, then we're able to make that connection. And that happens for different people at different times. There were some black people here and there, but it was not, I didn't see me, for a while. And so if you don't see it, then you just don't talk about it. I didn't want to be what I looked at. I wanted to be like, a lot of my friends who were blonde and white and blue eyes. But that wasn't me. And so I had to figure out how to connect with myself. Living in Seattle has been really interesting. And it's taken me a long time to find community. And when I have found community at most in the queer, trans, people of color community. I felt home with those people. And it was recently that I found the House of Luna community, which is a Kiki Ball, cutie bach community. And I was friends with Jade Dynasty, but we never did work together, organizing work. I saw her perform a lot. And then I met Diego after watching a Kiki documentary that was screening, I think, last year, a year before. And so that when they founded House of Luna, I was on board of I wanted to support them, the work that they're doing. And it was really important for me to support Kibot folks because I felt like it was supporting me, right? And I'm not a performer, an artist, a singer, any of those things. But I can organize. I can get people in a room. I can make people feel safer and I don't know, smile more. And so I was like, I want to help. And of course, I work in an HIV/AIDS organization, and so I have some resources and access to things. And to them, that was also really important to have. Kiki was founded in the HIV/AIDS epidemic in New York during that time, and so yeah, I kind of got on board, and then I officially became a member of the house. It was like Jade, like, hey, do you want to like join the House of Luna? I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I had to think about it because I was like, oh Lord, do I have to perform and stuff? But it's been fun. I've really learned a lot about myself because I go-go'd for the first time at our last cunty Christmas event, and I performed with all the house. It's hard, but I'm learning a lot about just the whole production of everything. But it feels great because it's with all my friends. I have been working at Babes for almost 5 years, which is the longest job I've ever had. And so, yeah, I've been like trying to figure it out. Where do I want to go next? What community do I want to dive into more? And basically that brought me to going to school. I started school this month. I've never gone to school. And so this has been a really interesting shift. But it's my goal to kind of learn more about health in general. I also want to do more sexual health, comprehensive sexual health. And so that might take me into schools or teaching or consultant work. I do that a little bit with Seattle Public Schools during their flash training, and I love that. I love being able to talk to young people and even the staff and the teachers about new information, about how to take care of ourselves and take care of our loved ones. It's really important to me, and so I just want to do that more. And so I'm using school to get me to that next step. We have a great queer community. It's pretty vast. It's changed a lot over the years. And I've been here for over 7 years. But I'm from here originally. But as an adult, 7 years, and I keep hearing like, yeah, Seattle's not the same. We don't really have Capitol Hill anymore. Like all these things that we've lost in some ways, or don't feel particularly ours anymore. So that's been really challenging, and especially for like queer trans people of color in the queer community, because I really think there's a difference. Being brown and being queer, it's even more challenging to find spaces and to feel accepted in the queer community and outside the queer community. So, I've witnessed a lot of folks hustling to just get a space in which they can like hang and chill and do what they need to do to feel like all of this is worth it, because it's really hard, with all of the many epidemics that are going on in the city. Seattle's great in a lot of ways, but people are also feeling a lot of the hardships. Yeah, we don't have the same access. We don't have the same power. And so it makes sense. So it's trying to figure out how we can create our own spaces and create our own power. But it's a lot of work.